Welcome to Beyond Business, the show where we look at competition in the global economy. Today we're asking how African countries can cash in on their mineral wealth. Enormous pockets of oil, gas and minerals are believed to lie hidden deep beneath the continent's surface, but these riches have so far brought relatively little benefit for Africans. The International Monetary Fund labels 20 countries in Sub-Saharan Africa as resource-rich, but the IMF's sister organization, the World Bank, says these countries have often sold their concessions too cheaply. The bank says the lack of reliable information on what the resources are actually worth is part of the problem, and it's launched a project called the $1 Billion Map to help. Our team in Washington went to the global headquarters of the World Bank to find out more.
Any maps of Africa's underground mineral riches date largely from colonial times. They are considered incomplete and imprecise. The new $1 Billion Map project from the World Bank wants to change this. Together with the African Union, it wants to bring to light the value of what lies beneath. The man leading the project is Paulo de Sá. He says it is African countries that will eventually benefit.
Unfortunately, most of the governments don't know what's underground. We believe that if there was a proper knowledge of the true potential in terms of minerals of the African countries, governments would be in a position to negotiate much better contracts.
For the map to become a reality, funds are needed to the order of hundreds of millions of dollars. It was the World Bank itself that came up with the term $1 Billion Map.
That was a catchy expression to call the imagination on everyone, and because it's easy to refer to, it does not correspond with anything specific. Some people think that this is the value of the mineral resources. We believe that the value of the mineral resources that can be revealed through this process will be much bigger than that, and could be on the orders of trillions of dollars. Others refer to it as the costs of doing the map.
If indeed geology has no borders, as the project leader says, then the support of the African Union is crucial. For the project, though, to turn into an actual map, that could take a whole decade.
Joining us now for more is Grégoire Niaudet from Caritas France, which is a Catholic relief organization. He's in charge of advocating for transparency issues, and he's also part of Publish What You Pay. It's a network of organizations that works specifically to ensure that energy and mining revenues benefit societies. Grégoire, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit more about Publish What You Pay. What's the aim of this network?
The aim is transparency about the revenues earned by governments and payments made by companies.
Specifically focusing on mineral wealth and oil
mining,
resources.
Gas, petrol. The aim is to ask companies to publish the payments they make to local authorities and to national governments, and then what's the aim also after this is to ask for accountability to governments. What did you do with the money? Did you buy some mansion hotels in Paris, or did you buy arms, or did you finance health centers, education, roads and all that?
So the aim is to essentially make sure that money from mineral wealth, for instance, actually trickles down to the population.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm going to hone in on that in a little bit. I just want to ask you, though, first of all, about about what the World Bank says. It claims that the lack of information is a contributor to why Africans perhaps are not getting access to money from their mineral resources. Do you share that view?
We can share this view, as governments are sometimes in lack of competence to negotiate with companies which are very strong in these situations. And but the fact is, are the governments ready or willing to make this negotiation proper to the population? If the aim for the government is to make some money of corruption and all that could be a problem. If there's no will, then the tool of this map will be only useful for companies and not for government and population.
All right, Grégoire, stay right there because we're just going to move on with another report. African governments have been looking for ways to get a bigger slice of the pie when it comes to their mining resources. South Africa, Guinea and Mozambique are among those governments, and they've been reviewing ownership structures and tax systems. At the same time, they don't want to scare off investors. We spoke to an expert at the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development about the issues facing resource-rich countries.
Deep beneath the African soil lie huge and unknown riches. Few have any idea of just how much wealth the continent's natural resources could hold, so the World Bank's carrying out a census. Called the billion-dollar map, the project's name isn't just symbolic. It's how much will be invested into it over 5 years. And not before time. Africa currently sees just $5 per square kilometre of investment, compared with 65 in Canada, Australia and Latin America. But will it prove an advance for Africa or a continental curse?
You have to take these riches for what they are, which is real wealth, and you can't be afraid of that. The simple abundance of resources isn't harmful in itself. The real curse would be with poor politics.
For the OECD, information equates with transparency. Simple knowledge can help in avoiding backroom deals and corruption. However, it can also mean running a risk.
The discovery of mineral wealth can feed conflicts. I don't think it's what creates them, but it can serve as the initiator for quite a number of conflicts, which can be extremely bloody.
So is Africa ready for the bounty beneath its earth? And are its governments ready to handle the likely pressure from multinationals?
You have to understand that mineral or energy resources in Africa are hardly or only rarely exploited by African states themselves, except in South Africa's case, by African businesses. They're highly dependent on financial and technological means, along with big companies from Europe, America, China, Malaysia, and so on.
Put another way, ordinary Africans often see no part of the wealth their continent can provide. And that could mean X marks the spot on the billion-dollar map for multinationals and accommodating political leaders only.
Okay, we're back in the studio now with Grégoire Niaudet from Caritas France. Now, every situation in every country in Africa is obviously different. We're seeing different policies in different countries. But would you say that the situation is improving more from a general perspective? Are governments in Africa becoming better at taking money from mining companies, for instance, and actually passing it on to ordinary Africans? Are we moving in the right direction?
I'm not sure we are moving to the right direction from the perspective of a government. And sometimes it's the case. In Liberia, the new president, when she arrived, she used the transparency processes to fight against corruption in his country and all that. But from the civil society perspective, yes, there are many improvements as the EITI, which is the Initiatives for Transparency in Extractive Industries, was settled in the early 2000. And now there are some compulsory rules from United States and Europe that will provide the nature and the amount which are paid by companies to local authorities and to national government. And then we can ask how did you use this money, mention hotels or health centers?
But is that regulatory framework from the European Union and the United States going to be enough in Africa for African countries?
It won't be enough. It will be enough if it's used. I mean, if civil society, if members of parliament, if journalists make the job after to use these figures. And what is the limit also is that we know what will be, we will know what is given to the local authority and the government, but we don't know if it's a fair price, we are this at a level of tax justice, because we have the transparency for the countries where there's production, but not the whole countries where the companies are implemented. And I'm speaking in this way of tax havens.
So in other words, there's still the issue of whether or not multinational companies are paying taxes in the countries where profits are actually made.
Yeah, that's it. And this is the big issue now. We have some progress at the G20, OECD is making some work, but we don't have the developing countries and all the countries we are talking about.
What are the
today
next steps
in the
then?
negotiation?
What are the next steps?
To make this reporting public at all countries where companies are implemented. So especially in extractive industry, that's the good focus for Africa especially, but also for all companies, from banks to transport companies and all that, telecoms. And everything.
Mm-hmm. Now, governments also have to strike a balance, don't they? Because they don't want to scare away investors, but they still have to look after the interests of the citizens. Would you say that that's a difficult trade-off, or is it difficult to strike that balance?
I'm not sure it's difficult, because the companies they focus on what is under the ground in these countries. If the rules are presented and respected, I think they will still go on to exploitation. And that's for the good also of the population. But they try to negotiate some arrangement around tax and respect of labor rights and all that. But I think if a government is strong politically, with a political will and strong enough, it won't be the company will not be afraid.
All right. Grégoire Niaudet from Caritas France, I want to thank you for coming into France 24 and for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
And with that, we're going to be wrapping up this edition of Beyond Business. Thank you for watching.